Good evening, everybody. I am Anthony, KE70SN. I am an at-large board member for the group, and I'm stepping in for Paul Lasardi for the moment, who had a earlier commitment but should hopefully be joining soon. So we'll start off with introductions and see how easy this goes, because sometimes the pictures bump around on me and it makes it hard to track where I've been. Uh, in the order that at least what Zoom's showing me, we'll start off with Paul.
Paul Branchfield, W7PEB. I'm the Southern contingent from Roseburg.
Thank you, Paul. Next up looks like Ted RTM.
Good evening, all. This is W7RTM, Ted, outside of Philomath, and I'm club secretary.
Thank you, Ted. Next up, I got Mike.
This is Mike, W7RIS. Lives about 10 miles north of Corvallis here. And I love doing contesting and DXing.
All right. Let's see. Next up, I have George.
Hey, good evening, George KL3 Delta X-ray over here in the south part of Albany. I'm a brand new, spanking brand new member of PRA.
Welcome, and thanks for joining. And it looks like we got the all the email stuff figured out, so that's good.
Yeah.
Uh, Next up, we have Larry.
Hi, Larry, AF7NU and in Northwest Corvallis.
Thank you, Larry. Next up, I'm seeing Sarah.
Sarah KJ7LCX. I live in Blue River, which is near the Mount Hagen repeater. And I'm also a new club member.
Welcome, and thanks both of you for joining. Uh, let's see. I think next up will be Scott.
Hi, everybody. This is Scott at KF7GGN. I live in Northwest Corvallis, I think. Who was the one who just said he lives in Northwest Corvallis? Was that?
That was me.
Yeah, Larry. Okay, yeah, Larry, I think I live near, probably not too far away from where you are. But anyway, okay.
All right. And then our second Ted of the night.
If you can hear me, my name's Ted Martino. My call is AF7WF. I'm living in Springfield, and I am also a brand new member of the club.
Welcome, and thanks for joining as well. And then, if I am not mistaken, rounding out at least the list for right now, last but not least is Ron.
Yeah, Ron, AE4JL, and my camera has quit working, so I've started well, and I'm going down here hill fast here, but and I'm up in Millersburg, and yeah, welcome to all the new members.
All right, thanks everybody for joining, and we'll snag anybody else that comes in as they come in. Uh, Regular business. Uh, Actually, usually, Mike, would you like to do a presentation at the top or at the bottom? You're muted, Mike.
Dang it. So stupid. Anyway, yeah, if you want to, I'll go ahead. It's simple and sweet, and we can get it out of the way, and then we can get into the beans of the program here.
All right. So it looks like we picked up a couple of people. So we picked up Joe, K7BIK, if you want to say hi while we're breaking between things.
Howdy, howdy.
Welcome. And then our fearless leader, Paul Enzro VLR, has hopped on. Uh, Not sure if you're able to unmute and say hi or. I guess not. Continuing on with the agenda here.
Hey, Anthony. Sorry, I couldn't find the mute button. I want to thank you for carrying on tonight. I'm operating from my phone with limited bandwidth and time constraints. So thank you very much for doing this. Sorry for the last minute warning.
No worries. Thanks
I
for
don't
being able
know,
to hop on.
Paul. I'm always trying to find your mute button too, but I'm not very successful either.
Thank you, Anna.
All right.
Fellow Lebanonite.
All right. Continuing on with the rest of the agenda. Next up, we have the Secretary's report, and that would be Ted.
Good evening, all. I sent the minutes out for last month's meeting last Friday. If there's any, I just noticed that I had different tabs on, so it probably looked funny if you brought it up. I'll check for that in the future. But if there's any additions, updates, deletions, corrections, please let me know. W7RTM@ARRL.net. Just send me a note or just say hi.
Hi, Ted. Thank you, Ted. So Andy, our treasurer, couldn't attend tonight, feeling a little under the weather. So, but he did send in the report. So currently in checking, there is $1,757.98. Savings has $2,490.73, which brings the total in the bank to $4,248.71. Our Square Up account has a whopping 81 cents. There is a exorbitant 43 cents in cash, which brings the account totals to $4,249.95. And if I bounce back to the agenda, next up will be Ron for website updates.
Okay. See if I can get unmuted too. Just keeping up with the recordings. You can find all of our recordings on the website. And then, yeah, any calendar events, let me know. Put them on there. If you have photos to send me, get them up there. Not a lot has changed though.
All right. Repeater report. If I get back to that page. Almost. Repeater Info Central. It helps if I click on the right PRA Facebook group. For those that haven't been following updates on Facebook from the Repeater Network, there's a flurry of activity since the last meeting. So there are, looks like 2 repeaters on Mount Baldy, in the Medford Rogue Valley area. The Canyon Mountain link is back up. King Mountain is back up after microwave repairs after snowstorm hit. It looks like Mount Ashland had a part of the camera system repaired. So if you haven't seen, also part of that, the repeater network is some of the sites. Chris has put up some webcam systems that have been kind of useful, especially for some of the weather snow loading stuff, as well as some of the wildfire activity. And that is kind of a neat view on towerview.live. And right now, looking at the cameras, the Steens Mountain camera, I'm seeing what appears to be a whole bunch of snow on the cameras. Hoodoo Butte appears to be a bunch of snow on the camera. Uh, Shasta, Mount Ashland, East and West, and Soda Mountain also all appear to be largely covered in snow. Uh, so,
Hey, Anthony.
yeah, Paul.
Yeah, for the benefit of some of the newer members that just joined us, I wanted to put a quick plug in for w7pra.com. And on that page, it's a fairly simple page, but there's a repeater tab. And if you ever wanted to program your radio with the 2 meter and 440 frequencies, and remember that many, and I hate to say all, because not all are always connected, but many of these repeaters are connected to all one system. So when you key up one, it's good policy to hold the microphone for about a second before you speak, because you are keying up a number of repeaters. But enjoy the system. It's there for your use. And like Anthony mentioned about all the different upkeeps, Chris, AB7BS, does a great job of maintaining that. And I just texted him yesterday to make sure he was okay with all the floods. And he said he had quite a crested river behind his house, but everybody was doing good. So back to you, Anthony. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks, Paul. So, past events is next on the list. Quick. So the URL is towerview.live, which I will post in the chat there. So if anyone wants to pull up, it is kind of neat because you can pull up stuff. I just did the time lapse of the Hoodoo Butte to see how many people were up there skiing today, and it looked like nobody I could see made it to the top, which makes sense given the weather. But it is nice to know what you're getting into before you get up on the mountain. So past events is the next thing on the list, which, if I am not mistaken, I don't know if there was a whole lot going on because I think we had the Rick Rial came before our last meeting. Anybody have any past events in the last month or so to report on?
I'll jump in and say I did get to attend the professor there talking in Eugene. There was a lot of that email that went around to a lot of us, and that was really a good talk. So yeah, if you get a chance to support the University of Oregon club there, they're doing some good stuff.
Yep. Upcoming events and stuff. So we have on the agenda 7QP. So I'll put Mike back in the hot seat to make his plug there.
Yep, 7QP. This is where everybody in the 7th area calls area. This is a contest, or actually a party, more like, but it's a contest where everybody outside the 7 area call sign area, I'll try and talk to every single county inside the 7QP area. The club sponsors a get together going out to the Ochoco National Forest. It's an early spring camp out where you never know what the weather's going to be like. And that's the 3rd and 4th of May. We have a separate email reflector that we have all the communications going on. If anybody wants to get on that list that's not already on the list, send me an email. And so that's, you can look me up on QRZ. My call sign is W7RIS, and that will give you a link to my call sign. Send me an email and I will drop you onto that thread. Now, also, this is not just for people that maybe want to go, may want to go and watch. or if you just want to listen into on the email thread and see all the stuff that goes into the planning and all the things that we discuss, you're welcome to take and join that email thread. But just look me up on QRZ and for W7RIS, that'll give you a link to my email address and I'll drop you on there. Anything else there, Anthony?
I think that's a pretty good summary, and looking forward to it, and looking forward to some good food. Next up on the agenda is new business and/or upcoming events. So before we get into the big topics for the March meeting, anybody have any upcoming events or other items of interest to share quickly?
We have CPAC coming up. That's May 31st. That's the Pacific Northwest Convention up at Seaside. You can get on the website there and find out all the meeting and everything that's going on there. So you have vendors, you can play and you can get your hands physically on radios that you might want to consider to buy. So you have vendors there for that. Ham radio outlet, if you want to buy one of the radios, you can go around the backside of that counter and buy one of the radios that you just got finished playing with and talk to the salespeople on. You have a swap meet out on the main floor. You have a whole long list of seminars that go on all kinds of different subjects. It's a very educational thing. It's a great time to meet new people, meet new hams, and to have fun there. The other one that we're going to talk about, but that's going to be let's make that a separate subject, is we have field day that's coming up too. Back to you there.
Should probably also mention that in the middle of May, I think it's 17th, 18th, 19th this year, not that anybody else here is going to be going, but Dayton's going to be coming up, which is the big national one. And the only reason to mention that is many of the manufacturers announce new things at Dayton. So be looking online for new stuff from the manufacturers. Also, if you're looking to buy a radio, many of them have show specials that are also valid online. So you don't necessarily need to be at Dayton in order to get the deal on whatever radio or a piece of equipment you want. So if you're looking at stuff, make sure you keep up with that particular manufacturer near the middle of May, because they'll start announcing Dayton show specials that are available online too.
So we're expecting about a 95% off Flex radios.
I don't even get 95% off Flex radios. I get a lot off of Flex radios, but not 95%. But I do get I need an engineering model, and those are free.
Yeah, and actually the same weekend as Dayton is also Benton County Aries is hosting another tech class and exam session. So again, if you know anybody that's looking to get licensed or to upgrade, that can be found at bcares.org. Click on the classes link and people can sign up there. Anything else before I get to... Not hearing anything else. So, for those that pay attention to like the regulatory side of things, our organization has designated the March meeting as the annual membership meeting, which means that this is the time that we traditionally would do our officer elections, and officer and board, I should say. So, the quick and easy way is to say is first and foremost, are any of the current board members interested in, or would any of the board members not want to continue in their current capacity?
I am willing to continue in my current capacity, but if anyone else would like to step into the role, I am not opposed to that either.
Isn't Bill Powell current member? Do we need to backfill that position?
Negative. So the current positions, so Paul Lasardi is the chair, you're the secretary, Andy is the treasurer, Mike is the trustee, and then the three at-large board positions are held by Anna, Ron, and myself. So I believe Bill advocated his position in the middle of his illness before he passed. So, and I believe Ted has echoed some of Andy's sentiments that if but I know Andy has particularly been interested in if somebody would like to take over or be interested in taking over or at least learning the treasurer's position. Andy would like to have somebody else to learn that and to help with it. And a lot of that goes to a desire to not see if some of his medical stuff comes up that to leave us in without a treasurer if something goes sideways for him. And he's been in that role for a number of years. And like I said, I believe Ted has commented in the past that he would really not be opposed if anybody else wanted to take over the secretary's position. So, do we have anybody who at this time would be interested in secretary, treasurer, or really any of the positions for the board? Jobs are not as hard as they seem. All right.
I've been treasurer before. I'm very bad at it. You don't want me to do it again. Andy is a much better treasurer than me, so we don't want to go there again.
But treasurer is the one office that has some constraints to it. You must be a resident of Benton County, I believe, to be able to access the bank accounts.
No, you just have to be a resident of one of the counties that Oregon State Credit Union services, which is Marion and Benton and Lynn and I think Lincoln now, and Polk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a live, work, or go to school in.
Right.
So the requirements are pretty broad. So the only stipulation for the treasurer is that you have to be eligible to be a member of the Oregon State Credit Union for the purposes of being a signer on the account. But yeah, sadly, it's been my bank for a number of years, and none of the branches are anywhere near where I live, so I end up having to do a lot of my banking in Corvallis when I'm in town. But all right, so not hearing any of the board people running away screaming, and not hearing anyone else wanting to step up to run for a board position. Do we have any motion to re-elect the current board for another round?
Move to re-elect the current slate of electors.
Do we have a second? Looks like Ron. All right.
Yeah, I second, yeah.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Oh, somebody should oppose. I'll do that.
We can change Ted's title to Jim for the purpose of.
Yeah. Hey, Anthony. Sorry, I was trying to find the unmute button. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do want everybody to take the comment seriously from Ted, and I've spoken to Andy. We've sat and we've talked about some of the activities that he does, and he's writing them down pretty well and doing other things. But I think it would be great to have a shadow um, for that role, because at some point in time he will just not be able to continue to do it. Um, and he said he'd be happy to do it until that point, but he doesn't want to just not be able to transfer that knowledge. That's it. So we don't have to handle it tonight, but I do want everybody to know that that was what was conveyed.
Yep. And I will say that even stuff like the recording stuff that I do would be, if anybody's interested in learning how that works and what's involved and how to do the, all the extensive editing on the videos that I do, post-production by cutting out the presentation portion from the rest of it. That nights like tonight get a little bit more complicated than some other nights, because when we have the introductions and then the presentation and then the rest of the meeting, then there's this middle chunk I have to take out, and that becomes the presentation video, and then you kind of squish the before and the after together to make the meeting video. Other nights when it's just when the presentation comes after the meeting, then it's just a cut here, and the stuff before becomes the meeting, the stuff after becomes the presentation. But it is a little bit of stuff that, if you're not initiated in it, could be a little intimidating. But yeah, if anybody wants to learn any of that, I'd be happy to share that as well. All right, and with that, do we have any other stuff for the good of the order, or the bad of the order, or the bad of the chaos?
We need to talk about field day. If we're going to end up reserving an area to do our field day. So field day is always the last weekend of June. And so we need to at least kick off a little bit of planning on this.
Yeah, I think that is the time to do that. And I think, yeah, the main focus right now would be, especially if we would like to reserve the old Crystal Lake campground at the south end of Corvallis. That's about the time to start working on some of that paperwork. Yep. With the city. So, and allocating well, I believe we have a standing allocation of funds for that. So, I don't think we have to do that, but I think we do have to. So if anybody has any thoughts or discussions on location for field day, so historically, the last many years, the club has rented the old campground in the south end of Crystal Lake Park, aka Willamette Park in Corvallis, which, if I get, just for a little bit of perspective, so everybody see the map here? So those are familiar with Corvallis. So you have Highway 34 and 99. So south of the 34 Highway 20 bypass, in Southtown, you have the Willamette Park / Crystal Lake Sports Field area. So if we go all the way to the south end here, there is the community gardens, and this little loop here that looks like something that might have been a campground at one point was actually a campground many years ago. And we have applied for, and the city will give us permission to camp out and stay overnight and set up our antennas and stuff and operate field day from this site, which has traditionally gotten a fair bit of foot traffic from passersby, especially those going to access and recreate on the river when it's especially on the warmer weekends. Uh, so that is kind of a default location. Uh, so any discussion on keeping that location, or anybody have any thoughts on uh, moving to a different area?
I'll just add my two bits is that it gives us real good connection with the community. We always have lots of people that walk through. We get a lot of opportunity to talk with people about ham radio. We put on a pretty darn good show. Yeah, I just kind of like the place. It has good trees for hanging antennas up, and it's a great opportunity for us to communicate and connect with the community.
I'll recuse myself. I plan to be on Lopez Island, so sorry again this year, guys. It's hard duty, so.
Hmm. Yep. So Paul had to drop out, but his comment was he was in favor uh, of the Corvallis location as well again this year. Uh, so does anybody have any opposition to the Willamette Park campground, Crystal Lake campground area for the club's field day for this year? Hearing crickets, I'm assuming that means that uh, Mike, I think you got the go ahead if you'd
Okay.
like to, or if you'd like somebody else to
Nope.
work on filling out the paperwork.
Then as usual, I usually do the project management for it and organize reserving the site and making things happen. So I'll go ahead and proceed as I have in the past.
All right, sounds good. I'll just have to worry about how do we get those Wagyu beef burgers and uh, the hand coddled chicken tenders and stuff for the meals.
Okay. And then also for this event, all the email and communications and planning, all of that gets shared across our normal Peak Radio email reflector.
Hmm.
So everybody gets to see it. Everybody gets to participate in it if you want to. And it's like one great big huge family event.
Yep. All right. Anything else before we wrap it up for the evening?
I do have one brag if anybody wants to sick and tired of listening to me.
Go for it.
But this week I finished up my 8-band DXCC. So that means I have 80, 40, 30, 20, 17, 15, 12, and 10 meters. 100 international or 100 DX contacts on each one of those bands. So I got that completed today.
Wow, that's amazing, Mike. Congrats.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Well, congrats. What was the hard? What was the last one you had to get to finish it?
Well, okay, so as far as getting the 5-band, that's the normal credentials you get. That's the minimum. And 80 meters took me probably almost a year to work through and get 100 international contacts on 80 meters. That was the hard one. So then I looked and I said, well, I also got 17. I also have 12, but I don't have any crap on 30, or hardly anything on 30. But I don't have a decent antenna on 30. So I worked on it for maybe a month and I said, fooey with this. So I strung up a simple 30-meter dipole up in the trees, going north-south, so it radiates east-west, and hung that up there. And from basically December until now, I went from 43 to 100 contacts.
That's great.
And so 30 meters is a 200 watts max that you can run on that.
That is very impressive, Mike.
As Joe knows, I was spent this long weekend out at the Tillicum Beach campground doing a mega POTA activation, and over the weekend I got about 800 QSOs. So
Whoa!
Excellent.
I got there on
Wow.
Thursday and I left this morning. So that's my warm up for 7QP at the beginning of May.
Oh my gosh. Because I got lucky and we got ground wave yesterday, but I had seen your spots and I'd listened a couple other times and didn't hear it. So that's great. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, it was mostly on 20 meters, a little bit on 15. 15 didn't really open up. I was watching it for most of the weekend and it didn't really open up enough to justify going. And when I have 90-minute pileups that I'm running through on 20, there's not much, literally 90-minute pileups just back to back. There's not much sense in going up to 15 just to not
Nope.
do that.
Nope.
What did you use your hex? What did you use?
Yeah, it was the Buddy Hex. The Buddy Hex with the amp, so I lugged the amp out there.
I was going to say, I worked Australia on 15 on Saturday, so.
Yeah, my antenna was pointed the opposite direction. I thought about turning it west just to see if I could get any JAs, but again, when I'm wall-to-wall QSOs from the United States pointing southeast, then yeah. And I got most of the East Coast too. I got Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Virginia, North Carolina, Florida. So I got a bunch of East Coast contacts too.
Yeah, that on 30 meters there with that stupid dipole up in the trees, I open my mouth and, I'm going after someone, new DXCC in it. So I'm going after them. By the time I get that guy nailed down, I spend the next 30 to 90 to hour working through Chinese, Japanese stations. And I can't get back to, I get tired of it. If there's some other, DX that pops up that I want, I go after it and just drop all those guys because I just.
Well, it's funny because I have all the East Coast guys at work that whine about wanting to get JA contacts, right?
Oh,
all that
God.
sort of thing. And I don't have it complete yet because I've been lazy, but I did something to show them, which is that I'm one prefecture away from worked all Japanese prefectures, the award from JARL. I need Okinawa, but if I can get Okinawa, I'll have worked all prefectures. And I want to get that just to show them, I don't know what you guys are having problems with JA contacts. To try not to get JA contacts.
How many prefectures in there? I'm looking for new things to go after.
I think it's like 35, something like that.
Okay.
It's like 35, 36. And yeah, you can apply to the JARL and they're weird because they don't use logbook on the air, but they will accept EQSL. So, because they expect you to print the cards, I mean, and they consider it EQSL because you can print them. Those are physical cards. So, yeah, you can't use Logbook of the World to do it, but they don't require you to send in the cards. You just have to sign something saying, if you were to ever ask for the cards, I could give them to you.
Okay.
And you fill out a little chart that says, here's the call signs of each of the people that I contacted in each of the prefectures. There's also a regions one, which I already have. I just haven't applied for. And not that you've apparently, if you go to Dayton, I want to try and get this done by Dayton this year. If you go to Dayton, you can get them to print you a certificate on the spot if they have a booth at Dayton. So anyway. You are eligible for the JARL awards. You just have to send in for them and provide the proof. So I thought that would be a cool certificate to have.
Oh, that's kind of amazing. So you went out there with the camp out planning to light up the ionosphere the whole time.
Like I told people on the air, POTA is not soda. So I believe in POTA heavy. not POTA Light. I'm not really interested in a 5-watt radio on a picnic table, so I bring the large scale equipment to do a big POTA operation. And I'd say I started on Thursday evening and I ended last night at 9 o'clock or so, because I also tried to operate it around at 2 o'clock UTC. It becomes the night shift. And you get additional awards for night shift activator, and you give other people night shift hunter contacts that you can get awards off of. So there's also an early shift, but for any people that know me, I don't think I'll be getting any early shift awards. So it's just the way it is. Except at 7QP, when Mike submits the logs, I end up with some early shift QSOs because of that. But I expect this time around, with those number of contacts combined with when I did this before in October, I'll probably have Kilo for the which is 1,000 contacts, activator contacts in the Siuslaw National Forest, which is the park that I was in technically. So
Wow.
I think I'm 300 or 400 contacts away from Kilo in Ochako National Forest. I'm hoping that I can break that barrier while we're over here this May.
Yep. That shouldn't be a problem.
Wait, you can get quota credit for 7QB?
Yeah, Mike submits it to POTA, and yeah, it's the site. It's Ochako National Forest, which is a park.
So you can do it as an individual on your own call sign, is that, even though
Yeah.
we're going to do the group?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we show up on Thursday and we don't contest till Saturday, so that gives you a good day to
That's true.
set up
Friday.
and
Friday to test all your equipment.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
work on your POTA stuff.
and by test we mean get 1,000 POTA contacts.
Well, I think this year figure out how to keep Mike and my antenna out of one another. So we'll figure that out.
What if we bring a diplexer? I connect to your antenna,
So
Lisa. I mean, and you connect to your antenna. We're just working different bands. Can we do that?
okay,
be able
well,
to, yeah.
here's something else I forgot to put on my list. For 7QP, sorry about this if anybody's, I mean, it's interesting to listen into what we're talking about, but it may not affect everybody. But what about, getting a triplexer because I'm planning on taking that tower and putting next to the warming hut. So that will be serviceable in that. But putting a triplexer on that, so that means Ron can get his 15 meters.
Yeah.
You can maybe see what you can do on 20 meters, Scott. And then that also leaves 10 meters open for any scavenging that might go on.
I think that's an amazing idea to get the triplexer on there and get that antenna used to its greatest potential. Because really, I mean, on the hex beam, I really don't move that thing at much, if at all, during the whole
No.
contest. I point it like east, southeast, and that's enough to get pretty much everybody from the northwest.
Okay, so if we go this direction, we can also use it at field day.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I was going to reach out and see if the club would be interesting to finance it. It's basically between $260 to $325, depending on which one I would select.
I think that's a no-brainer as far as me being a board member, what I think about it.
Okay. Does anybody else?
What's the power rating that you have to get?
200 watts. It leaves Anna out to begin with. But if she ever shows up for field day, you're still limited to 100 watts.
Yeah.
So it would still fall in the ballpark.
Yeah.
So I guess my question is, does anybody have any objection to it before we end up doing a quick little vote to go ahead and authorize me to acquire that?
Do we have board quorum for that? We got 4.
1, 2, 3.
5.
We got 5.
1, 2. Okay, 5 should be quorum.
Yep.
So no nays?
What's the triplexer?
Say again, Ron?
Did you say how much a triplexer runs?
Yeah, for a 200-watt one, it runs between $260 to $325.
And you can find them U.S. made now versus
I
having to get them from Russia.
The Russia ones are the high power ones. They're the
Okay.
much more expensive ones.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I used one this past weekend and it worked great.
Okay. Do we need
Of
to
course,
take
what
a
I used
vote?
was the Russian one, but yeah.
Yeah. Do we need to take a vote on it, or everybody agree that I'll go ahead and acquire that?
I think that's unanimous consent.
Okay, I'll make it so.
Yeah, we got $4,000 in the bank anyway, so
Yep.
not that we should spend like drunken sailors, but
Nope.
we also can't just be a bank, right?
But I think it'd be a good investment for what we got for
would.
that.
It is a great thing to have for group activities.
Well, I think we probably want to make it clear that if somebody has an activity that they could use some of the club assets for, that I can't speak for the club, but my view as a board member is I'm not opposed to that being checked out and borrowed by people as that are club members as appropriate.
Hmm.
The Eugene Club does that, where they have VRC has a lending library where they actually have rigs and stuff like that. That's kind of nice that people can check out for a week or whatever as their club members.
Do we need to put a limit on this or not to exceed 400, or do we care?
Okay, not to exceed 400. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that.
Just for the notes is all.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ted.
Thank you. Okay, any other things we want to fix or destroy?
Well, then it sounds like Mike's next activity needs to be the DXCC on 6 meters.
Actually, I need worked all states. I'm 3 or 4 states missing on that, and 6 meters is just now starting to wake back up again. So I want to finish that up.
What states are you missing? Like,
I don't remember. They're checkerboard across the U.S. They're not like in one area. I mean, I've got most of the West Coast or East Coast there. That's pretty much all done. But it's just there's a checkerboard of a couple more states.
All right.
Okay.
Well, if there's no other discussion for this evening, we'll go ahead and wrap it up and let Anna spend her time with her pup there.
Yeah. I think he's hungry, and I think he wants to make it known that it is dinner time right now.
Is that a Chihuahua?
It is.
Yeah,
We
I
have
used to have tons of Chihuahuas.
We have 2 Chihuahuas. This is the young one that still can jump up on my lap. The old one's asleep like he does most of the time.
Okay.
He's 14 this year, so
Wow.
one.
Yeah.
So he sleeps a lot.
Is either of them going to 7QP?
No, they'll stay home with other mom, but they did go out to the POTA activation this week because other mom's in Florida.
Nice.
Oh, okay. That's how you got.
Yeah, that's how I got to spend a whole weekend doing ham radio and not worry about it a whole lot.
Yeah. What did you use for use generator? What did you use to keep recharged?
That park has power on the spots.
Ah, okay.
220.
No. If I had 220, I'd be running the full, 2 kilowatt or 1.5 kilowatts. The Texas legal limit.
Yep.
Or if you're in Texas, apparently it's the California legal limit, is what I've learned from my coworkers.
Yep.
It's a California kilowatt in Texas. Everywhere else, it's a Texas kilowatt.
Hey, do you have just before we close, for your out of your 800 or whatever it was, do you have one QSO that pops up as the fun one or the unique one or whatever?
The 2 that I think there were like at least 2 of them that I thought were really fun because they I was handling them and talking to them a little bit, taking a little bit more time, and they mentioned that I was their first HF QSO.
No,
Oh,
ever, right? I had at least two people I remember where they're like, well, I'm just getting on the air for the first time. This is my first HFQSO ever. So those were the ones that kind of meant something to me a little bit.
Cool. Bravo.
I mean, it's kind of hard because when you're a big POTA station like that, I mean, the reason I got 800 contacts is because everybody, I am easy to get, right? Because I got good equipment. You're not trying to, cram on somebody that's 5 watts with a dipole end fed thrown up in a tree. So everybody wants to get you. So, you don't have you kind of go into contest mode rather than having a meaningful conversation with somebody, which is kind of unfortunate. I do like to talk to people every now and then rather than just, yeah, you're 5'9" from US 4384 QSL, right? I mean, that was a lot of it.
I just want to mention, Anna, that there was a POTA event going on up in just north of Salem, and I think it was at a park, Maud Williamson, I think, park or state recreational park area. And so this was advertised for quite a while, mostly in the Salem, and Portland areas. And they invited a lot of first-time people to come there that just got
Awesome.
licensed. And I'm just wondering if you may have gotten any of those as
I
the
don't
ones.
remember anybody from Salem. Like I say, getting ground wave over the mountains is difficult at best. And the skip was, I mean, there's no way I'm doing skip over there, especially not with my beam, right? If I set up something that was purposely in VIS, I may have made it over the mountains. But I did end up with a guy in Sandy for a couple times up in Sandy, Oregon, but he was like 51. And then, Joe, I caught, what was it, yesterday or Saturday? And again, he was like 5'1", 5'2". I had to pick him out of the noise. Like I
Right.
had a flex radio because you can do that with a flex. So
I can say I was up there, Scott, and I didn't work Anna.
You didn't work, Anna?
I was one of the people there at the Maud Williamson Saturday.
Okay. Oh, that was good. I'm glad you were there, Ron.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there
I
was
guess.
30 of us.
Yeah, if you were that close, I mean, yeah, 20 meters, you'd have to get diffraction or something across the mountains there or hills, I should say.
and the antenna was pointed, you would have been off the side of the beam, right? Because I was pointed southeast,
So you
so
got,
Salem would have been off the side of the beam.
okay. Okay. I was just curious. No.
But yeah, I was very surprised to get Sandy as an example. I did get a couple of BC contacts, which again are in the wrong. You get at least you got a lot of distance there that they're start to be in the skip zone, but they were off the wrong side of the antenna. And I did get again, even though they're off the wrong side of the antenna, I did get a couple of Hawaii contacts, but that's partially because the ocean is really great to skip off of, right? And I don't know if you've ever been to Tilikum Beach is
I
about
have.
2 miles north of Yachats.
Yeah.
It is one of the only campgrounds on the coast that is directly on the beach. So
That's
you look across the camp loop and there's the cliff and the beach is right there. So you are as close to the beach as you can get. I could look out of my space there and see the ocean. So you're right on the ocean there, and I think that's part of what contributed to getting the Hawaii QSOs is that
Yeah.
I just had ocean that way, even though it's off the side of the beam.
You got lucky because if you were pointing southeast, I'm just looking at the map. Yeah, because I was a little northeast of you.
Yeah, I mean, I was very surprised I got you, Joe. I was. But again, when you have a flex radio, you can pick that kind of stuff out. Mike knows.
Well, even at 7QP, I don't know, did you ever get like Deschutes County or something like that on 20 meters?
I've gotten to shoots on 20 meters a couple times because they're just, again, we're high up and I think we look down on
Yeah.
Bend to some extent, and I think we get ground wave in that direction a little bit. But getting over the Cascades is real rare. I mean, it doesn't really matter for us. I mean, speaking as the points whore, right? It doesn't really matter for us a whole lot because we don't get credit for counties. We just get, once we get one Oregon QSO, we're done, right?
Yeah, all right.
Same thing with all the 7 area states. It doesn't really matter how many counties we get because we don't get counties as multipliers. We get states. That's why I don't worry about those a whole lot. They're weak. They're hard to pull out. And once we have one, then spend your time doing somebody from New Jersey instead.
Yeah, well, like 80 meters at nighttime, that's when I usually pick up the valley and those guys over there.
That's what happens to me in sweepstakes. I always pick up the local stuff on 40, and on sweepstakes, you get Western and Eastern Washington and Idaho and stuff like that. Although I got quite a few Idaho contacts with the POTA activation this weekend, so I did get 5-10 Idaho contacts. I got a lot of Utah, amazingly enough, so Utah was coming in pretty good. But honestly, most of those QSOs, if I haven't looked through the logs and analyzed them yet, but most of those QSOs are gonna have a 6 in them. So yeah. Or people that now live in where 6 is. So lots and lots and lots of California contacts. Oh, and I had to laugh because I got home this morning and went, when the mail came in this afternoon, and I already have a QSL card from the POTA activation in my mailbox. I'm barely home, and the QSL card made it home before I did.
The post office doesn't respond that quick.
I must have made it on like Thursday night or something like that, because I already have a QSL card from somebody in Redondo Beach. I haven't opened it up yet, so I haven't seen it reply and everything, but yeah, I already have a QSL card.
And the post office just notified me I get to wait yet another day for something from California. Forget it. Yeah, I don't know how you did that.
How did you, were you there by yourself, Hannah? Or
I was.
How did you feed yourself?
I'm gonna invoke my Fifth Amendment privilege. And if Vaughn Phillips tells you anything, he is a dirty liar.
Oh, yeah, I know that guy.
Good stuff. All right.
When I'm ready to announce that that equipment upgrades, then I will explain to you how I fed myself on that POTA activation. But
I know it's not easy when you're by yourself.
oh, I wasn't by myself. I had 2 vicious chihuahuas to protect me.
Well, my mom used to kind of raise them, and I was surrounded by chihuahuas for years and years.
You have nightmares now?
Not really. They just yapped a lot, but they never fed me, that's for sure. Never get them to do that.
That relationship goes the other way around.
Yeah, I know.
All right, you guys, I gotta check. See
All
ya.
right.
Yep.
Good night.
Bye, Joe.
Nice to talk to everybody. See ya.
Yeah.
Yep. Have a good night, everybody.
See you, everybody.
Night, everyone.